Brentford 3, Liverpool 1. No real surprises there. Honestly, I was going to make a video last night about Spurs maybe losing to Aston Villa, or maybe Chelsea drawing to Aston Villa and Graham Potter's situation there. But then I thought maybe I shouldn't post anything just yet. Maybe I should see this Liverpool game, because I had a bit of a pit in my stomach about this game. Watching Villa, we were good, but they did have chances, and if Bailey was more clinical, I think they would have done well. And then, of course, Leicester, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that there was a David Luiz regen who decided to score 2 own goals, I don't know what we would have done. I don't think we really looked like doing anything that match. And then we come on to the game today. I was glad that Conte came back in the team. I thought Brentford had that physicality, which they showed, especially from corners. And I thought he would have been the better choice as centre-back, pairing Virgil van Dijk rather than Joel Matip. Obviously, Tsimikas had to come in because of the fact that Robertson had a bit of a niggle, came off in the game earlier against Leicester. So it made sense. I was surprised to see on the bench, and thankfully he was, because he definitely needed to come on in the second half. And then, of course, Jordan Henderson dropped out for Fabinho, who we needed back. Thankfully, he didn't decide to stay with his newborn child for too much longer. Henderson obviously missing out was a bit of a shame. Definitely got to use him in midfield today. And in the first 10 minutes of the first half, actually seemed to be doing alright. Van Dijk had a chance, but he was offside. And Darwin Núñez, he had that chance from Mo Salah when Salah slid him in, and then he took a touch, put it around the keeper, and then Ben Mee just blocked him. And it was great defending by Ben Mee to actually predict where he was going to go and just get himself and put his body on the line exactly where Núñez was going to shoot. But however, there was also the enigma that is Darwin Núñez missing a big chance. That would definitely go down as a big chance. He should have scored it really. And honestly, I just think it was unlucky. And I'm not just defending him because I like him. I think he genuinely was unlucky in that chance. And then Brentford got themselves into the game. Rico Henry down there left was really attacking. Really did well against Trent. And he got Elliott booked very early on. And then Mbemo had a chance, but he had a header against Tsimikas, which Tsimikas should have done better with. But the signs were there. You thought Brentford were going to do well. And all of a sudden, they put one in the back of the net from a corner. And you're just like, where did that come from after the first 10 minutes in which we were doing really well? It actually looked like we were on top, and then all of a sudden, 5 or so minutes, and then all of a sudden, a corner. I think it comes with Ben Mee's hand. I think that should get called up for handball. But honestly, I said this in the video before, I'm not entirely sure what the rules are regarding handball, VAR. And so I'm just not going to say anything further on it. I think it did hit his hand, which I think means it shouldn't have stood. However, VAR looked at it and they went, it's a no goal. It's a goal, sorry. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And it's just been lucky from Konate, and Alisson just couldn't get there in time. And I think, they deserved it at that moment in time. They played well for a spell. And Brentford 1-0 up. And then you're looking for a response from Liverpool. Really, there wasn't anything, which was a bit of a shame, because Trent was trying to create some stuff. Thiago was our best player again. I think he was man of the match against Leicester for me, but definitely again he was trying to create something but couldn't really get anything off. Oxlade-Chamberlain was struggling, Núñez was struggling, Salah was struggling. Salah, who I don't know really what's going on. I think it's a new formation with him being more out wide, and I definitely think Oxlade-Chamberlain was coming in a bit more off the left. Salah was a bit more central, trying to go 3 against the 3 forwards for Liverpool against the 3 defender centre backs for Brentford, but he wasn't really in the game. He wasn't as clinical. He wasn't getting shots off. It just wasn't Mo Salah that we all know and love. And because he gets goals and he gets assists. And then Brentford almost scored their second again from a corner. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what Liverpool were doing from corners against Brentford, really. I don't know what the game plan was. Especially after you saw the first goal. You saw the way Brentford crowded the 6-yard box, and then they pulled away, and we didn't follow because we do zone marking, which I'm absolutely fine with. But then the fact that twice, for the second time, they get their head onto it first, and they get a chance, and it was just a bit of a melee where people were just throwing themselves at it, and Brentford players were just shooting, and thankfully it was just pure luck more than skill or a bit of tactical nous to catch Weiss offside, and then you're just thinking to yourself, oh my god, what are you going to do? And then obviously he gets ruled out for VAR, which I think evens it out a bit. And then 13 seconds, I think it was, after the goal gets officially disallowed, play resumes. And then it's in the back of the net again. And you're just like, you just avoided this massive slip-up by going 2-0 down. And you get a reprieve, and then you decide to go, okay, lads, let's regroup. And then all of a sudden, 30 seconds later, it's 2-0. And I don't know what the team was doing, the midfielders were doing, defenders were doing, but they just weren't switched on. and it was comical, really, and it wasn't anything new watching Liverpool this season. You think maybe after the restart, if you win today, 5 wins in a row in the league, and you think to yourself, okay, maybe there's a chance for us to climb up the table, catch up with Spurs, catch up with Man United, but honestly, we didn't show anything in that first half that resembled the Liverpool of old, Liverpool of last season. That's the Liverpool we want. We want the Liverpool of last season. Where has that Liverpool gone? Where's the mentality of that team gone? I think that was the most worrying. It didn't look like we could get into that game in that first half. And honestly, Brentford deserved to be 2-0 up because we were doing nothing. Nothing at all. And then the second half rolls around and Klopp makes a triple change. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely what we need. Bit surprised when Matip came on as well. However, it turns out Virgil van Dijk had an injury, which that is massive, massive blow. Hopefully, it's not a big injury because he came back out in the second half. He was on the bench. He apparently has some icing on his thigh. Hopefully, he's back soon because we desperately, desperately need him. He did get torn up in the first half. I mean, him and Tsimikas on the left hand side. Matip and Konate actually did it alright. I'll come on to Konate in a bit. But obviously, it's Virgil van Dijk. He can have a bad game, but you want him back. You play him. You start Virgil van Dijk in any team in the world if he's fit, and that's my opinion. And it is slightly biased as well. But you just do it. He's Virgil van Dijk, and then obviously Robertson on for Tsimikas. That needed to happen. It was a bit of a shame because obviously Klopp said before the match that he was resting Robertson because he did pick up a bit of a niggle and there was no need to risk him. Obviously, after that abysmal first half, of course you've got to risk him. You've got to put him on because that left side needed to change. And it's actually good that the whole of our left side of our defence had to change because Konate moving over to the left and then Robertson there, I think they did a lot better for the majority of the second half. Don't worry. And then Naby Keita coming on as well for Harvey Elliott. And I feel bad for Elliott because obviously he started off the beginning of the season really well and you're looking like, okay, he's going to be a midfielder for Liverpool. And I think that's still his best position for us. However, he did look a bit lightweight. He got booked on very early on, which was a needless foul, I'd say, because I think Trent had it. But he was trying to make a tactical foul, stop Rico Henry going through and goal. And ultimately, I think it meant he couldn't get close to people. He's a young player, and he's definitely going to grow into the Liverpool shirt, into his career, and he's going to be an amazing, potentially world-class player for us. But in this game, he just really wasn't doing much. And I think he's definitely being overplayed. But the issue is we just don't have anyone else. Obviously, Keita comes on for him, which I think was the right change. Keita made a massive difference. I think he's the only Liverpool player who plays in midfield who can drive with the ball. And Erik can do it, but not as effectively in the tighter areas because he's young and not experienced yet. And maybe he will be able to do that in the future. And I think Keita did make a difference. It's a shame that he's not fit more often for us because you can see his quality. He hasn't got the end quality that maybe a fully fit Naby Keita, maybe playing for RB Leipzig more than Liverpool would have. But he definitely made a difference along with Robertson and Matt coming on. And then we get the goal. And I think the goal comes from the intensity. Jurgen Klopp definitely sent them out, definitely gave them a bollocking in that halftime team talk. I was like, right, lads, you are nowhere near where you need to be. You either fix up or I'm taking you all off. And you're not now going to play. Because he had to say something along those lines. Because that second half team was unrecognisable from that first half team. I think with the intent, with the direction, with how much they were driven and just going at Brentford, I just thought, why do you not have that in the first half? And unfortunately, and that's the most worrying part, it did seem to be mentality. And coming from the mentality monsters, I don't really know what to make of it as well, because Jurgen Klopp has built this team on being mentally tough, mentally resolute, defying the odds, and always being a team that just always being a team that could just flick a switch. And I'm lost for words, mainly because these are characteristics that Jurgen Klopp came to Liverpool and then he set with his very first team. He said, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to play. And being mentally weak and not being up for a game and not putting in 100% and not running those hard yards, that just seems unacceptable from a Jurgen Klopp team. which I just don't understand. Where has that gone? Where's that drive, that passion, that hunger? Maybe the whole team needs more of a rejuvenation than we thought. Maybe more so than even the most critical Liverpool fan thought. But we get the goal finally. Trent Alexander-Arnold with a lovely cross cutting in on his left foot, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain with the goal. And I was really happy for him because obviously he's come back from injury. He's been through a lot, and he's never really kicked on. And from when he initially joined Liverpool, from where we all thought he would eventually end up being, and it definitely looks like he's going to leave on the free. I don't think Liverpool are going to be offering him a contract, but I'm glad that he's doing well for the club while he's here, and that hopefully he's putting himself in the shop window as well. And then obviously Darwin Núñez has another chance. He has a shot which he absolutely scuffs. It was a shot that I think I could do better with. Actually, maybe probably not, but he definitely wasn't looking for Oxlade-Chamberlain at the back post. He was definitely shooting, but then he scuffs it horribly. And I think he's a player that he's got in his own head about the fact that he hasn't been scoring goals. And I don't think the majority of Liverpool, some Liverpool fans are getting a bit skeptical with him, are being like, I don't really see what he brings. He can't shoot, he can't score, he can't pass, he can't dribble. And I think they're just getting a bit carried away saying all of that. Obviously, I like Darwin Núñez. I think he's going to come clutch for us one day. I think he's going to be an amazing player. However, he's not covering himself in glory. And this is where our forward options really are lacking at the moment, especially with Diaz being injured, Jota being injured. If he is having a bad game, which I think he did have against Brentford today, against Aston Villa 2 games ago, I thought he was still making those runs. He was getting the ball, creating shots, creating chances for everyone else. He was having a good game. He wasn't as creative. He wasn't shooting as much. Wasn't getting the chances. We needed a Jota. We needed a Diaz to come on. And this is a game where we sorely missed him. And hopefully, Cody Gakpo can eventually come into the team. And he's not going to replace Darwin Núñez because, unfortunately, Diaz and Jota aren't going to be back for a little while. He's probably going to come in on the left. But hopefully this is a game where maybe you can move Gakpo more central. You can bring in Curtis Jones and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain somewhere to play on the left. And I know that's not what I or you as Liverpool fans want to hear, because that just shows how limited our options are up front. However, that's where we are at the moment. And then for some reason, as soon as we score, it just seems to go a bit dull and a bit flat. And I don't really understand why. Because credit to Brentford, because they definitely decided, like, right, we need to be a bit more resolute here. It's only 1 goal. We're still winning the game. And it was game state because obviously Brentford, the damage was done in the first half. So they could defend and take up the pressure. Home crowd didn't expect them to do anything else. They weren't thinking to themselves, oh, we need to go and score a third, because they knew at 2-1 they were still going to win the game regardless. And we had to be the ones to go at them. And then it got to about like 75 minutes. And I didn't even realise the time of the clock at this point. And I realised, oh God, there's only like 50 minutes left. Even though I was really happy with what I'd seen in that second half from that point, I was starting to get a bit worried because we hadn't had a few chances in a while. And then all of a sudden, a long ball by Brentford and Ibrahima Konate, who I love and I think he's going to be great for this team. He had an absolute howler. What are you doing as a last man? Either they're not passing it back to Alisson. If you think you're under too much pressure and you don't have the composure, you hoof it, rosette, clear it. And I know that's not always what we do as a team, because we like to play it out, we like to pass, we like to keep possession. However, that was not the time to do whatever he did. Fall over, try and be cheeky and get a foul from the ref, try and con a foul. And he was on the floor with egg on his face. And I felt bad for him because he had played relatively well to that point. However, it just killed us. It killed us. It killed the game. And at that point, we didn't really look like we were ever going to get back into it. And I didn't expect us to get back in. So my final thoughts on the game. Again, I think the midfield is an issue. Obviously, there needs to be some recruitment. I don't know if we are going to sign anyone in the January transfer window. I don't think it's possible. I think maybe we spent our budget on Gakpo, which I don't dislike, because I think we need a forward player. But however, signing a forward, was that the priority? Could we have got away with it? These are the questions Jurgen Klopp and the team are going to have to answer for us now. Otherwise, it looked like we might as well kiss top 4 goodbye. The only thing is, which fills me with hope, is that everyone else is terrible around us. Spurs, Chelsea, It looks like at the moment Man United are the ones in form. However, one game and they could lose, and I think they probably will lose a game pretty soon because that's just the nature of this league at the moment. And I don't really know what to think about this team. They didn't surprise me losing to Brentford. They didn't, and I don't think it's going to be a season where. And I don't think it's going to be a season where we're going to put 10 wins in a row. I think it might be we win 4, we lose 1. And that's not what I want to see from this team. And I think this team can do better. But at the moment, they're showing me no other sign of they can actually put a run together.